Hey guys, welcome to another video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about a movie that I find super underappreciated. It was a very well-liked film when it came out, but I think over time a lot of people don't talk about this movie, or have never seen this movie, or heard of this movie, and that is 1997's Copland. Yes, this movie stars a stellar cast. You got Sylvester Stallone, Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel. You got Peter Berg. You got Michael Rappaport. Huge stacked cast. And the story of this movie is about a young police officer played by Michael Rappaport. He gets involved in a very ugly, racially motivated incident where he ends up killing a bunch of guys. And his uncle, named Ray Donnellan, played by Harvey Keitel, he is a corrupt New York City police officer. In an attempt to sweep all of this under the rug, he fakes his nephew's death. Fakes his death. And they start getting investigated by this internal affairs officer named Mo Tidlin, played by Robert De Niro. And he's investigating Ray and his team and trying to find out where his nephew is and why there's no body and how corrupt is the NYPD. And all the police officers live in this small town outside of New York, small town New Jersey, and they call it Copland. And the sheriff of Copland is Freddie Haflin, played by Sylvester Stallone. And Freddie Haflin is a very just not intelligent or bright or even good police officer. He's a sheriff that knows all the police officers that live in Copland are all very corrupt NYPD agents, and he just lets it all just swing by. He's also friends with a lot of them, and he just turns the other way when he sees some illegal shit going down. So Robert De Niro's character is trying to get answers and find out what is happening and where is this police officer who shot these people. And Freddie has to deal with the fact that he lives with corrupt police officers, and is he going to change that or not? He's also got a good friend named Gary Figgis, played by Ray Liotta, who's part of the NYPD but also doesn't agree with all the laws that are being enforced in New York, and he himself is a very corrupt police officer, but doesn't want to be a corrupt police officer anymore. Copland is a very fascinating film about corruption in the police force, and it's a lot about how power can go askew, and how much power you can have, and how much control you can have, and also about what the right thing is, and doing the right thing. What makes me love this movie so much is not just all the stellar performances by every single person. It's Freddie Haflin's character, Sylvester Stallone. He makes this movie for me, and I don't even think he gives the best performance. I think Ray Liotta gives the best performance in this entire film, but Freddie Haflin's character is the most fascinating character in this entire film, and he makes the movie for me because his character arc is what makes me like this movie. I love his character. I like his growth, and I like what he wants to change. In the beginning of this movie, he's a pretty unlikable character. He sees a lot of bad, crazy shit, and he just doesn't seem to give a rat's ass about what's going on. He doesn't care. He sees all those horrible things. He sees this small town in New Jersey that's just an innocent small town, and it's run by the cops of NYPD, and he sees all the crazy shit going down and just doesn't care. Just doesn't care. And then when he meets Robert De Niro's character, Mo Tidlin, his eyes are opened, and he's just maybe I can actually do the right thing. Because throughout his entire career, he wanted to be a police officer, but he's deaf in one ear, and he doesn't always have the most, intelligence to be a police officer and stuff. So he actually wants to put an end to the corruption and stuff. And when he investigates the case more and more, and when he finds more and more about about Ray's nephew, he wants to kind of put an end to this craziness in Copland. And just his character grows more and more likable as the film keeps going. And I really enjoyed his character. I love his growth, and this is a proper character arc. And even Gary Figgis, Ray Liotta's character, has a terrific character arc. He's a very sympathetic character, but he's done some horrible, very despicable things in this movie. But in the end, he turns himself in, and he knows like what he's doing is wrong, and he wants to help Freddy take down the NYPD. And I think Harvey Keitel is a great villain. Harvey Keitel as Ray Donlin is a great villain. You can tell he's just a shisty police officer, and he doesn't play it over the top. He never plays it like he's like this like head top guy, boss guy. No, he just plays like a normal cop, but he knows he can get away with a lot of things. He knows he can get away with it, and it's all in his head, and like it all went to his head and stuff. And he knows he has so much loyalty of the NYPD, and it's terrifying actually. And there's so many things he turns a blind eye to, and it's like so dangerous. And that's what makes him a great villain, though. He's a very good villain, and I love the entire third act when Freddy has to stand against Ray Donlin, and he's gonna go there, and there's a scene where he gets like shot near the ear. In the entire third act, you hear absolutely like no volume because it's all through the point of view of Freddy and stuff, and it's such a well put together scene. And I gotta say also the music by Howard Shore is spectacular. Really great music. And again, this movie's written and directed by James Mangold. This is before James Mangold became like a huge name, before he did like a Logan and the Wolverine and Night and Day and stuff. Like this was like I think his second movie. He did a stellar job with this movie. Superbly directed, very well written. I love how it's shot. It feels like it's a 90s movie. This is a 1997 movie. It feels like a 90s movie. The look, the aesthetics, the camera movements, the editing, just all the shot compositions and the music just feels like a 90s movie. It doesn't look, overly CGI or glossy like almost every modern movie nowadays. This movie feels gritty. It's got that grit to it, that darkness to it, and just it feels real and stuff. It feels like this has all happened. This feels like a real town with these real police officers. It's a very, very, very relatable movie to a lot of people too, and it still holds up too. Like this is a 1997 movie, and it still holds up. It's very relevant to today's society and stuff about corruption and police officers. And there are good apples and there are really bad apples, and this movie shows that. And I love the character growths in this movie, and I love the writing. The writing is probably the strongest in this movie, and of course the huge cast. And there's so many times you watch a movie with a big cast and just they're all wasted. Back in the day when they actually had a huge cast, it meant something. The actors actually put their fucking effort into it, and they just didn't do a movie for the paycheck. This movie is a great example of like a big cast, and they all gave it their A game, and they put their heart and soul into this film, and just it's so well done, and it's just so well executed, and just I find it very underappreciated. And I know we live in a society where people don't like cop movies and stuff like that, but this movie is a damn great film. This is probably in my top 10 favorite police officer movies. Like, sure, it's not as like entertaining as like a Die Hard, or as better directed as Die Hard or anything like that. Or like, there's a lot of other cop movies that are like better, like Lethal Weapon and stuff, but this is a damn good movie. Like, it's a good story. It's got good characters, good performances, just all around as a film. It just works really well. And again, like I said, we live in a modern society where, movies aren't always the most enjoyable. They're very style over substance, and there's just boring one-note characters throughout the movies, and they get these big A-list actors, and it looks like they don't give a fuck about being in the movie. They just don't put any effort into it. Shit, watch Thor: Love and Thunder if you don't believe me, but this movie actually looks like there's just so much effort and passion put into this movie, and just I think it's fantastic. I think it's super underappreciated, and I think it's a movie most people should watch. I remember I was shown this movie almost 15 years ago. My dad showed it to me, and even when I was a young kid watching this movie, I always thought it was a great film. And it's always a film every couple of years I like to revisit and just enjoy. And the more times I do watch it, the more and more I enjoy it more. I find something new in the movie that I love and appreciate. There's just something like maybe a shot or a scene or a performance that I'm just like, wow, that was actually truly great. And I'm not kind of going to call this movie like a masterpiece. It's by no means a masterpiece. There are flaws. There are things in the story that doesn't fully work. There are a little bit of holes here and there. But as a police officer, dramatic thriller, I think it's a very good film. And it's a film you should check out. If you like to watch movies about police corruption and stuff, and you like to watch a good story with good characters, definitely check this film out. Copland is a hard recommendation, and it's super underappreciated. But hey, that's just my opinion.